Here. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Postcards. I'm your host, Jenny Van West, coming to you live from the Postcard Studio, where it is always 70 and sunny. And today we have a new decoration, little lights shaped like guitars. I'm just saying. So this is our last show of the year of 2021. It has been an absolutely incredible year of visiting with people, hanging out, talking about stuff and things, getting postcards in the mail, putting them on the wall of love, having postcard contests, doing all kinds of fun stuff, and interviewing people from around the place. We have had an absolutely stellar year here at Postcards, interviewing people. And today is no different. We are here with the very wonderful JIMI Palacios, broadcaster, coming to us live from New Orleans. He's going to be talking about his show, Gimme Country, his work with Gimme Country and Country du Monde. And I'm super excited. He's a very fun person. I'm already enchanted with the whole situation. So let's get started, shall we? Let's do a song. I'm going to play it because it's our special postcard song for Christmas. I'm feeling fat as a Santa and happy as a pig in the mud. I got a cute little tree and a moose in the pot just like Elmer Fudd. And Grandma sent a letter and I had to keep me cozy and warm. You know it's Christmas time at the Postcard Studio. There's a fire in the wood stove and it's burning hot. And the lamps are lit and the family singing songs and all that groovy stuff. So put on a record and turn down the lights. You know we're gonna wait up for Santa tonight. It's Christmas time at the Postcard Studio. You can put out the cookies on a nice big plate. You know he'll be here, but it's gonna be late. So put on a record and turn down the lights. We're gonna wait up for Santa tonight. And Grandma sent a letter and I had to keep me cozy and warm. You know it's Christmas time at the Postcard Studio. You know it's Christmas time at the Postcard Studio. You know it's Christmas time at the Postcard Studio. Whoa, 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 whoa. Well, all right. I'm feeling in the mood now. And so glad you guys are joining us. If you're just joining us the first time, welcome to Postcards. We are going to be finishing off our year here with the very wonderful JIMI Palacios in a couple minutes. And I just want to tell you, you can reach us at P.O. Box 1252, Westbrook, Maine, 04098. If you write to us, we will read it on the air. We will send you lots of love and we'll put it on the wall of fame/love. And you know what that means? It means you are in our hearts forever. And we'll do our best to write you back. And I wanted to give you a heads up, something fun that's coming down the pike. I have these cool little things. It's got 5 stamped postcards inside. It's a postcard starter kit. I'm going to be popping them up on my website. They've already got stamps on them. They're going to be $15. You get this cool little bag with my name on it and a cute little gal with braids. And you get these wonderful postcards and you can send them to your friends. You know, it's... we're trying to get a postcard revolution going here, and we're well on our way. I want to give a quick shout out to Emily Hanson, Magnolia Rhodes, artist advocate and booking. We're going to be making you a nice Jenny Van West custom postcard sign here for this stick for 2022. So stay tuned. You want to come back and see that. Again, P.O. Box 1252, Westbrook, Maine, 04098. Grandma loves this show, and she loves to get postcards from you. So make it so. We can do this. So happy holidays. I'm super excited about our guest today. I'm going to bring him in just a second. JIMI Palacios, new friend to me, new friend to Postcards. Super excited to talk to him about what's going on with radio down in New Orleans and how all that world of his came about. And so I think without further ado, JIMI, I'm going to just say good morning.
Hey, good morning from New Orleans, where it's actually 75 degrees and sunny.
It's actually 75 and sunny. Well, it's about 39 and raining here, so there you go.
I do not envy you.
How's it going this morning?
It's going great. I mean, another broadcast day for me. Wake up at 8 o'clock, do voiceovers for my show Country Du Monde, which airs at noon Central. So yeah, it's been good so far, you know?
Yeah. So is this is this your office here in the kitchen? It looks like the kitchen.
Yes, I work from home. So like I've got a setup where I've got these two ridiculous 50-inch monitors that one of them I hadn't used in a long time. The other one was gifted to me, and that's basically my home studio. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're so glad you're here this morning with us. So I would love to just like dive into talking about what you do and where you do it. And that's a big question, but let's start with I'm familiar now with Gimme Country, and that's a big posse. It looks like broadcasters, and are you all in New Orleans, or is it all around the place, or how does that
We're
work?
all around the place. The Gimme Country is part of Gimme Radio, and I guess the spiritual home of Gimme Radio is in San Francisco, where that kind of like started off a few years ago. Two kind of like spin-off stations from Gimme Radio. Gimme Metal actually kicked everything off, and then it was Gimme Country, which is kind of morphed a little bit into like Gimme Americana, but it's like pretty much everything roots music related. So they've been around for a few years. I just latched on last year, and it's been absolutely fantastic being a part of everything that they do. So what I do for them specifically is I'm their production manager. So like, not only do I do this rad show, Country Du Monde, talking roots radio, but I also head the team of producers there that put all the programming together, metal and Americana. So it's been cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So you got like you're on the air, and you've also got a pretty huge back room thing that you're doing to make all the magic happen.
Absolutely. I mean, the on-air stuff is super fun. It's what I love to do. It's a reason why I'm here. But what pays the bills is like all the background stuff, to make sure that everything is working together. So I love all of it, man. I dig it.
Yeah, totally. Oh, yeah, I could totally see that. So, I got to listen to your show the other day for the first time. It was a new show to me, and I'm super excited about it, because one of the things that I noticed was that I was like, this is not a what I would call like mainstream, right up the middle approach to curating a show that's country music. So maybe we could talk a little bit about that, and like how you have where do you get what are your sources for new music, and how do you put a show together? That's a big question.
I mean, I've like really kind of benefited honestly from like if we're talking about like Americana music, and let's just kind of parse that out a little bit. Americana Music Association is a trade organization, right? So like you've got a lot of different sources for kind of like roots music out there, Americana being one of them. You got like Folk Alliance, you got like a bunch of other like trade organizations. But I guess like in recent years, Americana, the term itself has gotten really expansive, and I've just gone with the flow. So like I'm originally from Texas. I've lived here in New Orleans for a little over 15 years, and like I am like really well based in like things that came out of Texas like in the 80s, 90s and stuff. But I've kind of gone with the flow with the Americana movement, and just kind of see everything that's like a part of that. And a lot of that stuff is kind of, pushing along the edges in different areas and stuff like that. So like I love it because I just love music. So if it's more that I can go ahead and play in touching like different kind of like aspects, genres of music, man, I'm all for it. So that's what I've done generally. I've just kind of like as music kind of fits, I mean, I just throw it in there if I like it,
Yeah. So I actually, when you talk about growing up in Texas, my family, part of my family's from Waco, Waxahachie region, Maypearl, up in that way. But it sounds like you're from further south, and I'm curious about where, like where you grew up in Texas, and what was the musical environment you were in growing up?
Well, I grew up in McAllen, Texas, which is like pretty much by the border, by the sea, like 60 miles away from South Padre Island and only about like, 10 minutes away from the Mexico border. So it was cool growing up there. And then I spent a lot of time in Laredo, which is up the river on the Rio Grande River, another border town. So I
Yeah.
kind of split a lot of time between those two places as a kid. And then like in the mid 90s, graduated from high school, I got introduced to like I went to the University of Texas and like got to experience like Austin in the 90s. So that was really
Oh
cool.
boy.
So a
Yeah.
lot of like what shaped me as a kid or like as a young adult was honestly Texas music.
Yeah.
When I moved to Austin for the first time, like I was getting introduced to like Junior Brown and Robert Earl Keen and like all the derivatives thereof, Jerry Jeff Walker, and seeing them live. And then from there just kind of kept on with a bunch of amazing people that have like continued making music since, and those guys still make music. So that was kind of my introduction to music. But growing up as a kid, obviously we had the radio. We had a lot of like Tejano Norteño type music at the time, which I hated because like you're a kid, you want to rebel against everything, but then and then you realize like that was actually really good. And I'm glad that I came around to that quicker than most.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a lot of great music and a lot of stuff from Mexico too. So like it was a good musical upbringing, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And one of the things that fascinates me is like how musicians and music lovers and broadcasters like yourself develop in terms of musical tastes and so forth, because the most critical thing that I've noticed with my own kids, a broad exposure to really good music, any genre, whatever they're into, just finding like looking for the best and sort of understanding what quality is. And it sounds like you were kind of saturated in it, even if you were like pushing back a little bit. It was around you, and that's really awesome. So so when did you first kind of recognize that you had fallen in love with radio? Or was that always there? What was that?
Honestly, I fell into radio like it was just happenstance because I've always loved music and I've always been a music lover. So, I mean, as far as I can remember, I've loved going to shows, even like little DIY, punk shows when I was in high school, and then going up and being in Austin and seeing, all those amazing artists for the first time up there. So I've always loved music, but it wasn't until 2015 here in New Orleans that I got really lucky through some friends that started up a radio station here, WHIV LP in New Orleans. One of the last low power stations that were given an FCC license. So like, I just remember one day I was hanging out local bar, Bank Street Bar. I used to live like just a couple blocks away from there. And my friend Dr. Mark Allen Derry, I'm sorry, who's an infectious disease doctor, an epidemiologist, and just kind of like an amazing guy to boot, plays bass. I mean, he's just like Mr. Renaissance, like he's
Nice.
a doctor, he plays bass, he's cool, he skateboards everywhere. Yeah, I mean, he was playing a set and he said, "Hey man, I'm starting up a radio station, we'd like a radio show." And it was such a nonchalant question that I was like, "Yeah, sure, man, I'd love one," without knowing what I would do. And
That's
it's
awesome.
been amazing since, just kind of growing up in radio and being able to do that for a few years before making the move to Gimme Country. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And so approximately what year was that when
That was
that
like
happened?
2015. It was like
Okay.
early 2015, and then I think I did my first broadcasting in the summer. Yeah, like those first like year and a half, it was just kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. At the very beginning, I was just playing like spaghetti western music and stuff from Texas that I really enjoyed, and it was just kind of like giving commentary. And then early in 2016, I kind of realized, you know what? I want to start getting into like current stuff, and I didn't even know where to begin. So I went back to Texas and started like seeing like what my friends were listening to, and then just kind of latched on from there, and then started playing stuff that kind of originated from like Austin and then Nashville, and it ended up being Americana music. That's what it was. So
Yeah.
then I just became a huge kind of fan of like that whole kind of movement.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting to hear because it also sounds like you you got into this in the digital. Once we kind of crossed that digital line, I mean, people still spin records and CDs for sure in radio stations. There's no question about that. But we are going through a little bit of I mean, there's a lot of changes that happen. So you've come into this on the other side of that transition, or that larger transition to digital. So, okay. So I'm sorry, my head's exploding. It's always happens like 15, 20 minutes into the show. I get so many questions in my head that, so I'm going to do a quick station idea. If you're just joining us, this is Postcards. We're coming to you live from Portland, Maine. I'm here with the very wonderful Jimmy Palacios, coming to us live from New Orleans, radio broadcaster extraordinaire. He has a wonderful show with Gimme Country. And you can follow him at, I'm just going to see if I can pull this up and be a super duper amazing person. Let's see, I thought I had it all in one place. Country du Monde. You can follow on Facebook, and also GimmeCountry.com. Go on over there. It'll hook you right up with downloading the app that you can get on your phone and enjoy Gimme Country anytime you want. So, okay. So here's a question that came up for me when I was listening to your show the other day. And it's something that I, up in the, I have roots down there. I got roots over there. I got roots all over the place. But one of the things that I don't hear talked about a lot is the impact of Mexican traditional music and cowboy music, country music, on American country music. And I wonder if we could talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I hear it all the time, and it's really great to hear,
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me, from your perspective, growing up down in border areas in Texas, what's your take on the impact of Mexican music on American country music?
I mean, just growing up in Texas, I mean, you cannot understate like the impact of Mexican Americans and Mexicans on the creation of Texas, right? So like it's part of the whole story.
Yes.
And that being said, I mean, also like the influences on even like German culture there in Central Texas with like barbecue and accordions and all this stuff. So like, it's just amazing music that's really kind of like become its own thing, from like mariachi music, kind of morphing into like Tejano music, conjunto music. And and you can definitely hear a lot of those sounds, especially in the Texas bands that cut their teeth like every year. I mean, and of course, go on and do great things as well. I mean, it's really, really cool. I mean, like, here's an example. Like, so we just recently lost an icon on the mariachi traditional side of Mexican music, in Vicente Fernandez, he just passed away. His big hit Volver Volver, his interpretation of it, I mean, it's so iconic, and of course everything else that he sang. So like, just a week ago, we had Summer Dean from Fort Worth, Texas. She's opening up for Charlie Crockett, who's really huge now, and she did her rendition of Vincente's Volver Volver, and it was absolutely fantastic. And here in New Orleans, and it might have been the first time that some people like listened to that song, and it brought the house down, man. It was so good, and like, she's incorporating that into her sets. And it's so rad to go ahead and see like that tradition continue. I mean, not only with like bringing in whole songs, but just like accordions being thrown into the mix, and like the setup for some bands and stuff. Like it just sounds great.
Yeah. Well, and it's like I hope you won't take offense at kind of how I phrased that question, because I think
one
of the things, it's like with gringos like me, right? I mean, even with roots in Texas, it's like there's this sense of separate histories, and history that's been, needs to just be consistently brought up. Like, and, in terms of being, calling myself an Americana artist, and I've got roots in Celtic music. I've got roots in Texas. I've got roots in, Scandinavian music. I mean, it's like, there's all these different things that have flowed through my life. And one of the things I do love about this broader moniker of Americana is like, let's really dig down again and again and again, and really acknowledge like where these different things come from, and these different influences and roots, and Texas and Mexico having this long, I mean, that's 500 years of shared history. And so So anyway, if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome to Postcards. I'm talking with Jimmy Palacios, coming to us live from New Orleans. We are talking about stuff and things. We're talking about Americana music. We're talking about Texas. We're talking about country music and all of that. So Jimmy, I got a bigger question for you, which is like if you have a short elevator chat for telling people what country music is, like somebody who's never heard about it before, how would you
Oh.
how would you how would you do that in 12 words or less?
12 words or less? I mean, I
Okay,
would just
50.
say,
How about 100?
you know what I would tell them? Honestly, I'd say, you know what country music is at this point? Whatever you want it to be. That's what it is. So
It's
you're
kind of true,
welcome.
isn't it?
It
Yeah.
is. It
Yeah.
is so true. It's super malleable right now. I mean, it's something that we talk about all the time as an organization. Like, what is country music? I
Yeah.
mean, there's a country music past and origin story, right? But of course, like anything else that's organic and lives, it's always evolving. So like, it really is whatever it's, you know, it is right now, right? I mean, it's everything. It's the good and the bad. I mean, I don't want to say bad because I really don't like to discount music, even like pop country music, which is like, not everyone's cup of tea. Some people enjoy it. So good on them. That's cool with
Yeah.
me. But like there's always elements that you're going to go ahead and take away from stuff. So like I say it really is right now. Country music is interesting because like it's whatever you want it to be. It's roots based music. It's whatever you think of like that's being kind of like put out there by the powers that be in Nashville. That's also country music. I mean, it's a lot of different things, and the cool thing is that you can go in whatever direction. You can be as exclusive or expansive as you want it to be. Like me, I love being as expansive as I am. I love
Yeah.
playing whatever catches my ear that could be considered roots music. I'm going to play it. But if there's something that's really amazing that, let's say for instance, like Taylor Swift puts out there, I mean, I'll play it, just
Yeah.
because she's a fantastic artist. And like, even though like, she's not everyone's cup of tea, like she's just, she's great at what she does. So like,
Yeah.
I will recognize like if there's certain things that I love. And I love the fact that like, artists like Chris Stapleton are getting their due because he is so good at what he does, singing in that amazing voice that he has, crossing over and doing so much work with all different types of artists. Like, I dig it. And if that's
Yeah.
country, like I'm all for it,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate that. I love what you just said about just uh really trusting, like sort of trusting your own sensibility, one's own sensibility about like, is this country music? I feel like it's country music. I see the DNA strands in there, and it's
Yeah.
like and just sharing that and keeping that because we don't I guess where I'm going with this is that if we don't my personal observation is if we don't continue to kind of like push those boundaries in a slightly bigger way, they just continue to shrink.
Mm-hmm.
And then there becomes sort of a narrower, sort of like broadly a narrower definition of like what a particular genre is. And that chokes out a lot of great talent. And so I love that. I love what you're saying about that because I have so here I'm going to tell you a quick story. I produce a show up here in Maine called the International Open Mic because we've got people moving to Maine from all over the world. Lots of people from Central Africa, lots of people from the Middle East, a lot of recent immigrants in Maine. So we have this wonderful community show a couple times a year. Now we just had another one for the first time in 2 years, actually, because of the pandemic. Getting voices from around the place. But I have this young artist I've been working with. He's originally from Somalia. And, he's got a poetry and rap thing. That's kind of like where he's been, but he's really wanting to branch out and like, become the Somalian Jason Isbell of the world or whatever. Like he really is feeling that draw, but he is feeling like there's not a place for him yet. And I've been
Mm-hmm.
encouraging him and just saying, listen, what you create is different than me. So what would you say to a young person who's like new in America and is feeling drawn towards country music, and wants to create something?
I mean, I would say go for it. I mean, here's the thing is that like, there's so many derivatives. And like one of the wonderful things that I love about country music, Americana music, roots-based music, whatever you want to call it, folk music, is that whenever there's something new and interesting that's brought to the table, that's exactly what I gravitate towards. If
Right.
if I hear something that sounds exactly like something else, I tend to be like, okay, they sound like this person or this person or this person, or this is their impression of this person. Maybe that's unfair, but guess what? If I've already heard it before, I mean, that's just the way we're gonna quickly categorize things. But if I hear
Right.
something new and different and it's good and it captures my interest, I mean, I don't care if like you're in a major label or you're selling CDs out of the trunk of your car, like
Yeah.
I'm interested,
Yeah.
especially in things that bring like new sounds, new twists, new voices to the table and stuff. So like I'm
Yeah.
into it. I mean, I
Yeah.
would just go ahead and say, you know, just keep on at it because obviously, success isn't overnight. And like even like the people that you see out there that you think their success was overnight, it took years. It
Yeah.
took years of
Yeah.
them
That's
like
right.
really paying their dues and playing clubs and playing to no one and
Yep.
then getting in vans and getting all over the place and you just didn't see that part. You just picked it up in the middle of the story.
Yeah.
So I would just say go for it,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Awesome. I'll share that with
Yeah.
him. I'll share that with him. Thank you. Yeah. So if you're just joining us, welcome to Postcards. I'm having a conversation with the very wonderful Jimmy Palacios coming to us live from New Orleans, Louisiana, where it's 75 and sunny in real life.
It really
And
is.
we're here in the Postcard studio where it's always 70 and sunny. And today is no different. And I'm feeling the love and feeling the sunshine here in the studio this morning. So, so okay, so let me looking at my questions here. Here's a question for you. One of the things I've been thinking about recently is the fate of CDs. Big question. And I realize streaming is just integrated with radio now. That's part of the deal,
Mhm.
but I'd be curious to hear if you have any thoughts about, because you were saying people selling CDs out of the back of their car, and a lot of independent artists right now have watched their income suddenly evaporate because of the lack of CD players in cars and laptops. I've been thinking about getting into electronics reselling and selling people USB CD players so that we can continue to do this and be like, here's my CD and here's the thing to play it on. But I'm curious to get your sort of, do you have any thoughts about sort of where that's going? Is there going to be like a CD revival at some point? Like, is it going to be like a whole thing like vinyl's becoming again? And like, what do you have any thoughts about that?
I mean, there's always gonna be a need for physical product, right? Whether it's a koozie or a CD or a T-shirt or something like that, right? Especially if like people want to go out there and support their favorite acts. I mean, a lot of times, if I'll go to a show for the first time and I hear something amazing, I go by the merch table. I mean, a lot of times I will pick up a CD, even if I don't necessarily need it because I want to support, right? So like, you know, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there that want to support in some way. And I know that it's super difficult to go ahead and print. It's expensive. I mean, CDs are still, even though like they're cheaper than vinyl, right? But I mean, it's still an expense that you have
That's
to go
right.
ahead and take to go ahead and get out
Yeah.
there. And if like, from a release to release, I mean, you can haul all the extra CDs with you and everything like that. And I don't know. I mean, I want to say that there's still a need for some sort of physical medium. Now, people may not ever, I know this is gonna sound weird, but people may not ever listen to that CD because they'll just go ahead and easily just pick you up online. But I think there's still a need to go ahead and have that there and to kind of see your vision of like how you would put that album together. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Because liner notes are also super important.
Yep.
They're important to me. They're important to a lot of people out there to see like who are on different sessions.
Yeah.
A lot of times, independent artists have a big say in like, the way they do their own album art or like they lay it out themselves. So like that's really important too. I mean, I know that these might be things that like casual music fans may not think about, but I think subliminally there's something cool about having something in your hand and walking away from a show that you really enjoyed,
Yeah.
with that,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like anything else, and I don't want to like I don't want to sound like mean or terrible, but like anything else, like be in a position where you need to put stuff on a CD though too. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because I
Yep.
mean, if it's demo quality, and unless you're like doing like some demo sessions and letting people know, then like expectations there, you have to go ahead and rise to them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like
Yeah.
some people like play for years before they release anything like in physical format. But you know why? It's because they really needed to play for years before they put something down. Because remember, you're not just competing against yourself, you're competing against everyone else out there in a lot of ways, you know? So like you have to go ahead and have some really quality sounding stuff, you know?
Yep. No,
Yeah.
no, I think that's a great. There was definitely like there was this little sweet spot where iPhones would come on the picture and people were making, you know, you can record on your iPhone, then you can burn it on a CD right on your laptop, and then people are selling those for $5, which, you know, whatever. I think the accessibility of being able to do something like that is amazing. But what I'm hearing you say is, don't forget about the quality of what you're laying down and sharing
forever.
People.
You know, do you want that to be out there forever? You know?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be out there forever. You're going to be hearing about it, and other people might be hearing it or not hearing it, as the case may be, because it just kind of doesn't hold up. So authenticity, quality, playing to your strengths, all those things still apply. Okay, gear shift. There was a little chat in the green room, and I shut down my own questions because I didn't want to get too far into this. But you have only really been heavily involved with broadcasting since 2015. Is that right?
Correct.
And then you said there's been a life transition in terms of your livelihood towards radio. So maybe we could talk a minute about like how that came about in terms of making that shift, you know, having a different day job, and now your day job is radio. How did that happen?
Yeah, totally. I mean, 2015 is when I first started getting involved in radio. And what brought me to New Orleans 15 years ago is I came here to attend law school at Tulane. So like I just kind of stuck around ever since. And when I got involved with community radio, I got involved with WHIV LP New Orleans, which is still going strong today. And they just, celebrated an anniversary, and man, they're just a really rad group of people. And it all starts from the top. Liana Elliott and Dr. Mark Allen Derry, who owned the station, who started the station and everything. So in 2015, I was definitely starting radio for the first time. I had a radio show. It was called like the Spaghetti Western Show. It was just like, you know, whatever I wanted to.
That was the one you were talking about earlier, right?
Exactly. So
it was
then
actually called the Spaghetti Western Show.
It was called Spaghetti Western Show, and I played Spaghetti Western music and like Texas country and like whatever I wanted to play. I had guests.
So fun.
Yeah, it was cool. And then I started like, you know, wanting to get a little bit more organized. And I had a group of friends here that I went to law school with that had a band, right? They were in a band called NOLA County. And like NOLA County, the name of this band, I thought was a really cool name. Although here in New Orleans, people are like, NOLA County, what's that? We don't have counties. We have parishes down here in Louisiana. So it was always kind of like met with some sort of like, I don't know, resistance, at least for booking. So he said, you know what? I'm going to through with this name. I'm going to go ahead and change the name of the group. We're going to be the same thing. And I said, I love that name. That's exactly what I do. Like, I'm from Texas. I live here in New Orleans. I do this kind of like Americana thing, and like county kind of like reminds me of that. And I said, I will take that name from you. And sure enough, like use that for my radio show. And like from then on, I became like this like Americana radio show here in New Orleans from like 2016 all the way up until 2020, which was my last year broadcasting like full time with WHIV. So like through the years, I've just been kind of gaining momentum and learning really along the way, and interviewing folks, bringing the best of like the Americana music that I knew of, always learning. Did a ton of interviews. I mean, collectively I've done like probably over 1,000 broadcasts. And then with like NOLA County, I did like well over 500, 400 of them there on Mixcloud, where anybody can listen to. You can listen to my first interviews and some really amazing interviews towards the end. I had Coulter Wall, the Band of Heathens, I had Nicole Atkins. I mean, a lot of really amazing people, especially in that pandemic year, which was like 2020, and then beginning my transition into to Gimme Country and Country Du Monde. So like, basically that's kind of like the story of it. I mean, grew up,, and learned, cut my teeth in community radio, started NOLA County Radio, stopped NOLA County Radio in 2020 only because I came over on board to go ahead and start up this amazing show, Country Du Monde, with Gimme Country, where I've done a daily ever since, like every day. There's been very few days where like I haven't done a daily, and most of those were related to like a hurricane or like some sort of like glitch we may have had or anything. But like I just had my 300th show yesterday actually. So
Holy
this is my
smoke.
301st show.
Congratulations. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
so,
That is amazing. That's amazing.
yeah, totally. I mean, I dig it. So like, that was kind of like the way I grew up in radio, and it's been a fast growing up in the last like 6 years. But everything came together last year because of the pandemic, which is crazy to me because
Yeah.
I had a bunch of free time just to kind of like paint the picture of like what I was doing in New Orleans. I mean, I had my regular kind of straight job working for Morse Bard, who's an amazing attorney down here. I was working with him full time for over like 3 years. I was holding on this gig doing radio twice a week there at WHIVLP with my Americana radio show, NOLA County. I was also booking here in New Orleans, different venues, and especially at Chicky Wawa, which is here in Mid-City, an Americana joint. And, I was, that was my life. And then the pandemic came, cut everything out, right? And so then I just tripled down on radio. Like I started doing radio like 3 or 4 times a week from WHIV, and just asking everyone that I was interested in. I was like not shy anymore. I was like, I'm going to go after this person. I'm going to see if they want to do an interview. And guess what? More times than not, they wanted to talk. There was a pandemic.
Isn't that cool?
It was great. And it was fantastic. So like I was able to go ahead and just kind of like through my own kind of mental health, like throw myself into radio and then come out at the end working for Gimme Country, like doing something that I love.
Yeah.
And like get to do that every day for like, for rent, it's like, what is this? It's fantastic. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I would call a silver lining of the pandemic.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
That is a massive one. It's like circumstances and you responded to them by just like, I love what you said, tripling down on radio, or however you put it, because, that quick adaptation, I've had some things like that too. I mean, I started this show because I was like, I don't feel like being alone. I want to talk to people. I love to write postcards, and I'm going to start this show and like get some people in from around the place. And then Emily hopped on board, and here we are. A huge silver lining. So, okay, so I grew up with a lawyer in the family. So I'm curious about a couple things about that. Like, were you looking to get out of working in the law, working in law firm, or how did your family respond to that? Did they were they psyched for you, or were they just more like, what are you doing with your life getting into radio?
I think a lot of people have always looked at me and saying, what are you doing with your life? But I mean,
share.
It was one of those things where, at the time when I wanted to make a career shift, because I also have an accounting degree. So I worked as an accountant before coming to New Orleans, right? So like
you love music. You really love music.
Yeah, I mean, but I've always loved music. So like I came here to New Orleans, I went to law school. I kind of quickly, even in law school, I should have pulled the plug because like, you know what? It just wasn't for me. And my heart really wasn't into it.
Yeah.
Although like I graduated and like, and understood what I was doing. I just didn't feel like that warm and fuzzy feeling, but I always felt the warm and fuzzy feeling about New Orleans. And like kind of like going to clubs and like listening to new music and listening to all this great stuff that the city had to offer and hanging out with culture bearers of here in New Orleans, man. Like that was like my big thing. And you know what? If like what paid the bills was the law and then doing that and doing everything else that I was into, like, so be it. Right. I mean, I wasn't complaining. I was just kind of like, I just couldn't believe that now, of course, I get to do what I do. But, like anything else, like I was just kind of living. Right. And I was kind of like always wrapped up in like the cool things that New Orleans had to offer. I had like a pop-up restaurant for like 3 years that I did too, just because I love food as well. And I was cooking
Oh, yeah.
And like, you know, it was just like New Orleans is like one of those places where if you want to have a side hustle and you want to go ahead and try something out for the first time, there's so many like-minded people, so many amazing venue owners that I've known along the way that'll just give me a shot to go ahead and like and do stuff. Like
Yeah.
pre-radio, I was you know, doing a thing called Spaghetti Western Sunday at the local bar. I would book a band playing mostly honky tonk music, and then I'd show a spaghetti western, and we do it in like 3 parts, right? We play like some western, some music, some western, some music, some western, some music, and it was great. We watched like Good Band the Ugly and like all derivatives of spaghetti westerns and stuff. Did that for 3 years, did a pop-up for 3 years, and started like with that pop-up also booking a little bit of music at that club too while my restaurant was going on. And that was what really kind of pushed me into like kind of like understanding the music scene, and of course understanding radio and like entertainment and everything. So like that all was precursor to like what I'm doing now, and I had no idea that was the case, right? So
Right. This is like a 2020 hindsight. Like, oh, that was all preparation for where you are now.
It
Yeah.
really was preparation. Like having my own business was like, and even though it's just a side business, it like made me appreciate kind of like working on my own and not working like in a structured environment. I mean, it
Yeah.
just like when I work for Gimme Country, like I work all day from
Yeah.
home, you know. And
Yeah.
it takes discipline because like you can be
Yeah.
like, well, I'm at home all day. I mean, you know, I mean, but I never feel like that. I feel like, well, I've got work to do, right? And like it's
Yeah.
usually just kind of like working all the time. But you know, like stuff like that prepared me for like being successful now, you know.
Yeah.
As much as I love
Totally.
it, like you have to be able to do it, you know?
Yeah, totally, totally. Well, and you know, when I was listening to your show the other day, and by the way, folks, you can listen to Jimmy. It's noon to 2 Central every
Yes.
day, Monday to Friday, noon to
Monday
2
to Friday.
Central. I am going to be tuning in. I'm super excited about this because 12 to 2 is sort of like a like let's clean up from lunch kind of moment in my world because I also work from home and I understand what
Yeah.
you're talking about being disciplined. And so 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central every day, Monday to Friday on Gimme Country. You can listen to Jimmy. So I want to say right quick, I want to say hello to a couple people who are listening in from around the place. Judith Swyman coming in from Queens. So happy to have you here. Nice to see you here. Emily Hansen is here. And also we had a nice little hello from Thea Wood. Nice to see you here. Coming in from Detroit. So so let's see. Let's see. We've covered a lot of territory, Jimmy, and I feel like we've had a chance to get to know each other in 40 minutes, but we have 20 minutes left in our show. And I wanted to talk about food for a second. You brought
Food,
it up.
okay.
Yeah, if we can talk about food. I'm really curious about what you were cooking in your restaurant. Like if you had some specialties, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. This comes up every once in a while, and people always want me to go ahead and bring back the food, but man, it's a lot of work. So like,
It's
and I don't think
okay. I just want to hear about it.
I don't have the hands for it right now, but like I did, you know, just like everywhere else in the US, man, I got part of like that Taco Tuesday craze. So like I was making different types of like, you know, Mexican American food with my kind of like New Orleans tinge on it on Tuesdays there at the Hi Ho Lounge on St. Claude. Did that for 3 years, and it was all you know, it was different fillings. I'd make my own tortillas, I'd make my own salsa, I'd made my own like you know, different sauces to put on everything, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. But it was mostly like tacos and quesadillas and like nacho based dishes, just quick good food. And it was so much fun. But a lot of work because I was like
Yeah.
cooking a lot of like, you know, while I was at work, I'd have crock pots going, like cooking like pork and chicken, and then I'd
Oh
come home
man.
and quick cook some rice and like have some beans that were cooking all day, and then of course I'd have to go ahead and like pre-make, you know, dough for tortillas and then smash them out like when I was over there. So like it was a lot of work all the time.
I
So
bet.
but it was fun. It was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I called it Tuco Taco Tuesday, and I think there's still a Facebook page that still exists out there because they
All
just kind of
right.
last forever.
Yes.
But
We're not
yeah,
gonna let you forget
it was
about it.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And so who was cooking in your household growing up, and like who's cooking, do you remember? Where'd you get your cooking chops?
Well, I got my cooking mostly from my dad. My dad was always a griller, so like I kind of understood fire and cooking meat and stuff like that. So a few things I learned from my mom, but my dad did a lot of the cooking for the week, especially on Sunday. And then I had some aunts in Laredo that I definitely got some recipes from, like how to go ahead and cook, like how to go ahead and like have like like make tortillas and stuff like that, and put together some salsa, that sort of thing. So like, and then from there, I just kind of like went off on my own because I've always kind of enjoyed cooking, no matter what it was, and I've always enjoyed like smoking meat and doing that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, the base is definitely with my dad and his sister, my aunt, and then of course like taking it from there.
Yeah, yeah, and giving it your own, absorb it. It sounds like you absorb influences from New Orleans and other places. So cool. I love talking about food too. And I suppose someday I may have to do sort of like a food spin-off from postcards. Talking about animals and talking about food goes along with talking about music. They just kind of all are often in the room together. So I appreciate it. Excuse me. Okay, and along those lines, we've been talking about holiday recipes. So, are there holiday recipes that are in your family that you're particularly fond of?
I mean, I I mean, I can't think of anything that like we did that was out of the ordinary. I mean, holiday season, like had turkey and ham and that sort of thing. But the one thing I do miss from South Texas is tamales. Like, man, I
That's what Emily was just
love
asking.
tamales, man. And I just had some like not too long ago because one of my friends from South Texas who also came up here to law school, and his mother lives here now. She just recently cooked some and they were so good. But yeah, it's stuff like that I miss. I miss like good pozole. I miss like good, stuff, food like that. That's like always like kind of holiday food as well.
Yeah,
But there's places you can get it here in New Orleans. I mean, so like, if I really want to go get it, I can definitely go get it. So like, it exists, but that's the
yeah.
stuff I definitely crave.
Yeah, nice. Nice. Oh god, you're just more fun than a box of kittens, Jimmy. That's just what I'm gonna tell you. So, if you're just joining us, welcome to Postcards. We're talking with the very wonderful Jimmy Palacios, coming to us live from New Orleans, Louisiana. We're talking about his show, Country du Monde on Gimme Country. You can listen to him 5 days a week, and we're gonna have to let him go in a minute because he's probably got to get ready for that. 12 to 2 Central, Monday to Friday.
Right.
GimmeCountry.com. You go over there, it'll lead you right to where you can download the app, or you can go to the App Store and just download it directly. And listen to Jimmy 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about this. So, uh, so let's see, where you clearly are having a blast doing what you're doing right now.
I love doing what I do. Yeah.
And it sounds like this is your forever home, but do you have sort of when you kind of, do you take a second to look ahead? Do you see other things that you'd like to incorporate into your radio world, or where you'd like to take what you're doing now? Or have you just hit the sweet spot and you're just there?
No, I think that like radio and I think entertainment in general, I mean, is always morphing. So like we have to be ready for the next thing, right? So like I'm super stoked to be part of an organization that like understands that and is
Yeah.
going to be looking to go ahead and kind of like change as we need and bring new stuff to people and like new ways to experience this music, because there's a lot of music out there and like people's tastes change and people's way of getting music changes. So we have to like be amenable and adaptable and be able to go ahead and get that to people so that they can go ahead and be on top of that, right? And I love bringing in, you know, not just, you know, the easy stuff to bring in. And what I mean by easy is that like, there's a lot of artists out there on labels, that have like top-notch PR that like are fantastic. And guess what? Their stuff definitely deserves to be played. But I also love bringing in independent artists. If it's great, I will play it, and the thing is that there's still there's still room for that, and there's still a place for that, especially here with Gimme Country, and I love being able to discover like new stuff that should be listened to, you know. So like I just love the fact that like with Gimme Radio, we're always like looking to go ahead and see like what is the best way to go ahead and get this stuff out to the world, right? And I enjoy even though like I don't have the time to respond to every single email and every single DM and every single inquiry or request or whatever. I mean, I try my best to go ahead and at least read it and listen real quick and see if I can go ahead and incorporate it. Because that's kind of like where it begins and everything, right? So like
Yeah.
I'm really into it, and I hope that I'll always have the time to go ahead and at least go ahead and do a once over
Yeah.
and see what's out there and everything like that. And I don't know how that is with a lot of people out there. I know that there's just so much going on, and especially with people with more kind of like uh you know specific shows and like what they're trying to go ahead and hit and everything in a specific sound. I'm kind of like all over the place because I just like a lot of different types of music, so it is difficult to be on top of like everything, but I do my best, and I'm
Yeah.
really glad that Gimmy's into it too, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, it's now, okay, so last question. Last question. This came up briefly when we were hanging out in the green room with Emily. Which was you now get you're recognized by your voice around town,
It's
right?
happened a few times, which is pretty interesting. Yeah.
What does that feel like for you? Because I know some people, I think some people probably enjoy the anonymity of radio. It's like unless they open their mouth and start speaking, people might not recognize them. But does it bother you, or is it kind of like you seem like you're an extrovert? Like it's okay. But what was that like the first time that happened?
I mean, honestly, it happened at my local bar. So like I was like, great, you want to buy me a shot? I mean, like honestly, like it was cool. And then it was like, all right, well, let's have a beer, you know? Um,
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's
so
great. Yeah.
that's honestly where it's been recognized, because I'll be trying to order something, you know. So
Right. And people are
yeah.
like, wait a second, I know that guy.
Yeah. I'm also wearing like my Gimme Country gear. So it's like it's not too hard to like kind of like put the two things together, you know. And so like New Orleans has a lot to do with my show too. I talk about stuff that's happening here in New Orleans all the time. And people love it because New Orleans is such a great city. Even though I'm playing stuff from like all over the world, all over the country and everything, there's always a little bit of a New Orleans tinge to my show. So
Yeah.
people dig it.
Yeah. Well, I have a confession to make.
What's that?
I haven't been to, New Orleans yet.
You need to come down here. It's pretty
I need
fantastic.
to get my tail down there, I really do,
It's
and,
75 degrees right now, and it's like
I know.
December the 16th. It's sunny. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just reason enough to come down and stand in a parking lot, I'm just gonna tell you that right now. But there's also something else very important that happened this week. I just want everybody to know that Tuesday,
Ah,
it was Jimmy's birthday.
it was.
And did you get a party? Did you get a cake? What happened on your birthday? You were having a show. I was listening.
I got to work.
Yeah. You got to work at your dream job.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I had to do Tuesday is actually a really busy day for me. So like I had to like work, but I got out and I got to go ahead and have some sushi with some dear friends. So that was really nice. And then I got a chance to go ahead and hang out with my really good friends who I rent an apartment from. They're my landlords, but they're also originally from Austin, and an amazing band called the South Austin Moonlighters. So check them out.
Ooh,
The
nice
Trevino's.
name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're great. And so I got to have a dinner with them, and then I got to do more work. So it was a pretty chill birthday as far as birthday goes, but man, it was great. I dug it, you know.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I haven't gotten to do this before. I'm gonna sing you happy birthday on my show.
All
And
right.
everybody at home, including Carolyn Hinsky, who I saw just tuned in, everybody at home, let's sing Jimmy happy birthday.
Woo!
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jimmy. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
and many more. You are welcome. You are welcome. And well, we're just about out of time. And I think we're going to wrap it up. Jimmy, I can't thank you enough for making the time this morning. You are a very busy human being, and I so appreciate you saying yes to Postcards, being on the show, bringing, giving folks an introduction who may not have heard your show before, and now they can listen to it 5 days a week. And so hopefully you're picking up a couple fans from our Postcards family here. Wish you all the best. All the best, especially because it's your birthday week, but all the best with what you're doing. I think it's awesome. And you're awesome. And that's what I got to say about it. Oh, and you got a happy birthday coming in from New York City here. From Judith. All right. Awesome. So we're going to go out in usual Postcards fashion, which is I'm going to sing the original Postcard song. And you can just hang out, snap your fingers, out of time. It's, we have the... it's the Maine to New Orleans time difference and whatever, how it is, the internet delay. I'll see you on your show sometime, Jimmy. I can't wait to listen again, and thank you again for being such a wonderful guest. When you're down and you're blue, and Emily Hansen, you're so awesome for bringing Jimmy into the studio. When you're down and you're blue and you don't know what to do, just write a postcard. When you're feeling fine and there's something on your mind, just write a postcard. Don't you know Grandma loves this show? She listens every time. You don't need a reason. You don't need a rhyme to write a postcard to P.O. Box 12522. Just write a postcard. 04098. Just write a postcard to Westbrook, Maine, 'cause Grandma loves this show. All right, everybody. And our 2021 larger season of Postcards is a wrap. And thank you, Jimmy, for being our last show of the year. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and your family and to all of our listeners, whether you're listening now or you're listening late tonight. So grateful for all of y'all. And we will catch you on the rebound January 6th.
All right.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Happy holidays to everyone.